Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. All right. Still looking at the wacky way that Zoom is admitting people and not admitting people. And all right. And then some are admitted, and most of you don't have your cameras on. All right. Again, good morning. Good morning. If you are in, you should have your camera on. Like I said, half the class got 8 people with their cameras on. Everybody else's camera is off. If you're attending class, I should see your physical face. We're getting there. I know it's early in the morning. Some of y'all just trying to get it together, but you're here. Log in, turn your camera on. All right, we are on the section of the human impact on air and water, and we've been talking about air pollution. You have a worksheet that takes you through the layers of the atmosphere. What I want to do today is particularly go through the human effects of air pollution. So we're going to stay in Canvas, and then when we finish this, I have a question, and it's kind of based on the last video that we're going to watch on Canvas, and then you can finish the worksheet that you started yesterday. All right, just let me let a few more folks in, and we'll get started. It's in like 10 people. All right, so while you're waiting, log into Canvas. You can finish working on your worksheet, and then when everybody's in, I'll get your attention and we'll go through this page together. Again, if you bothered to log in, please turn your camera on and please work on environmental science. That's why you're here. And if you would do that, then we wouldn't fall behind, and we use class. That's my expression for the year. Use class time for class work. If you log in, please do environmental science. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. For those of you who sent in assignments recently, I believe I've graded all of them. So let me just stop sharing for a minute just to make sure. Unless you sent it in the last 2 minutes. Mhm. All right, so I am still seeing some zeros. So please make sure that you take care of those. Progress reports are being published tomorrow. You don't want your parents seeing that you're missing assignments. And again, some of you are missing the study guide question, which was an opinion question. It's easy question to answer, yet you're still missing it. Don't understand that one. You're giving away your grade. Easy question. And it was an opinion question, folks. It wasn't for you to research. You were supposed to just look at the topics that we covered and then tell me which ones jumped out at you. That's all you had to do with that one, folks. Yet you left it blank. And that's a senseless zero. Again, if you bother to log into class 2 classwork. Where's Justin? Justin's not here. All right, still got 2 folks. Me to the test. Don't get that one either. I was just looking at your worksheet right now, Cadence. You turned in a blank worksheet. So please, the worksheet that you turned in, Cadence, has no answers on it. So please look at that and resubmit. All right, we're gonna go ahead with who's here. Everybody else is late. Okay, so again, I would like for you to be in Canvas in the module for human impact on air and water. And we're specifically going to focus on the effects of air pollution. We touched on it a little bit yesterday, and today I have questions that go with the topics, the website today. Okie doke. All right, good morning, good morning. We are in Canvas. All right, so we said that pollution was anything that is in the air that is detrimental to your health. So we're looking specifically today at things that are in the air that are unhealthy for you. We also want you to remember too that the unit for measuring air quality is parts per million. How many particles of pollutant are actually in the air per million particles of, so for every million particles, they're looking at how many of those are pollutants. Okay.
Congratulations! Delhi is now the most polluted capital city in the world. We finally beaten China at something. No! This is serious. This year, parts of Delhi have hit a 999 reading on the air quality index. And that's because the index only goes up to 999. Chances are that actual pollution levels are much, much higher.
Now, while some are blaming Delhi's 10 million cars, others are pointing to crop burning in neighboring states and industrial emissions.
If you've been in Delhi these last few weeks, you would have probably experienced a sore throat, burning eyes, headaches, and shortness of breath. But these are only the short-term effects.
Without an N95 mask, breathing Delhi's air is like smoking 45 cigarettes a day.
And if you think that staying indoors will save you, you're in for a surprise. Without air purification, breathing the air inside your home is still equal to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
The long-term impact of this is scary. Your arteries harden, leading to an increased chance of clotting and heart attack. Risk of chronic respiratory diseases such as emphysema becomes much higher. It can cause constant wheezing, coughing, chest pain, asthma attacks, and eventually lung cancer.
But won't anybody think about the children?
Children are way more vulnerable than the adults.
They breathe more air per kilo of body weight, increasing their exposure to air pollution.
While increased respiratory problems in Delhi's children is a given, sustained exposure to the polluted air leads to cognitive impairment, which means they can have trouble learning new things, focusing, concentrating, or making decisions.
And if nausea and body pain wasn't enough, pregnant women in their third trimester are twice as likely to deliver a child with autism.
But wait, your sex life is in jeopardy too. Pollution lowers testosterone and estrogen levels, which leads to lower fertility rates.
Pollution is a big challenge.
But now you can filter the air you breathe. When on the go, wear the respirator. And inside your homes, install the AC filter.
See how these filters turn from pure white to black from invisible dust particles over a period of time?
Now, if you still think pollution isn't a serious issue, think again.
Alrighty. How many of y'all even know where your air filter is in your house? And then did you see how he showed you the difference between a clear filter and a non-clear filter? Now, we don't live in an industrialized city like that, but we do need to have air filters in our house. There are dust particles and all kinds of particles that are coming in and out of your house, especially if you live in an area where they are building all the time. And so particles are getting into your house. Take up a challenge. Ask your folks, when was the last time you changed the air filter in the house? Okay. And if it looks like that last one, it's time to change the filter. All right. Justin, still waiting on that score. Ah, yes. That someone just said they have a lot of vents, and so yes, if you have a big house, you have a lot of vents. So it's important that you check the filters every once in a while. It's also important that you just every once in a while dust the vents, because what it does is it sucks up all the particles that are in the air, and then they just accumulate. And if you ever look up every once in a while at your air ducts and see how dusty and dirty they are, they need a little wiping. So just take one of those Swiffer uh, dusting things and wipe them off every once in a while. That would be helpful. That's give you some clean breathing air. All right, so damage from air pollution. So they pointed out, and that's in an industrial city. We are not in industrial cities that much. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, maybe. They have the car industries and steel industries and things like that. They have not so clean air. So they are in danger of polluting the air also. All right, so we have a lot of initials. So I want you to make sure that you know what these initials are. So we have EPA. And what is the EPA? Somebody type it in the chat. What's an EPA? It's right there. What is the EPA? Then we have the AQI, and then the AAC, Environmental Protection Agency. Thank you. And when y'all answer questions that I ask the class, put it for everybody, not just me, because you send it to me. So yes, the Environmental Protection Agency. So you need to know what that is, because we will talk about the EPA a lot. So know that that's for the environmental, and it is here in the seal. This is their official emblem. All right, AQI, that's the question that I'm asking in the assignment today. What is the AQI? Everybody read that paragraph and tell me what's an AQI? And the CCC, the Air Quality Index. Thank you, Alyssa. And the CAA. Somebody other than Alyssa. Oh, what's the CAA? There we go. Thank you, Lucy. The Clean Air Act. Clean Air Act. All right. So he mentioned in the video the index scale, and that in India, this one only goes up to 500. So imagine if his was 999, how bad the air is, and it's hazardous at 500. So a 999 is probably deadly. So this is the scale. So again, this in the index is in parts per million. So this is the air quality index, and they color code it. And so and it doesn't take much to be in the good zone. You only need 50 particles. So we looked at the map. I pulled up an interactive map the other day, and Columbus was in the yellow zone. So it's moderate. And most places are, because if you live in a city and you have lots of cars and things going on, it's going to be, on most occasions, it's not going to be very good. It's better in the wintertime because the cold keeps the pollution down at ground level. But keeping it at ground level is bad because that's closer to where you are. And so you're more likely to breathe it in. It's better when gases rise and when the temperature is warm. So in warmer temperatures, we tend to get the smog because it rises up. So he talked about that haze over the city. Alrighty. Hopefully y'all are young people. You're not smoking because it's bad for your lungs and definitely causes air pollution as well as other respiratory health effects. Okay. Alrighty. So they have pollutants indoors, vapors, cigarette smoke, radon. In addition to carbon monoxide, devices that they measuring monitors, that's the word I want, in your house. Nowadays, if you live in certain areas, they encourage you to have a radon detector as well. Certain chemicals that are in your house give off certain fumes. Bacteria and germs are definitely indoor pollutants. So we have this whole list of indoor pollutants. Asbestos used to be a very big thing because it was what they had in the insulation in your house. They don't use those anymore, but the fiberglass that they use for some insulation is still just as bad. The latest thing now is they shoot foam into the walls, so they're not using fiberglass or asbestos. But if you have an older house, you probably have fiberglass insulation. All righty. Let's take a look at this one.
In this video, we are going to learn about the effects on our health from a range of air pollutants. If you live in the city, you may already be aware of the effects of air pollution on your health. You may already have had some breathing discomfort or painful eyes. The ones that we'll be focusing on in this video are particulate matter, called PMs, ozone, O3, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur dioxide. More often than not, these pollutants exist as a direct result of human activity. One such human activity is the burning of fossil fuels in power stations or cars. Particulate matter is a mixture of sulfate, nitrate, ammonia, sodium chloride, carbon, mineral dust and water. It consists of a complex mixture of solid and liquid particles of organic and inorganic substances suspended in the air. These particles are identified according to their aerodynamic diameter as either PM10, particles with an aerodynamic diameter smaller than 10 microns, or PM2.5. These have aerodynamic diameters smaller than 2.5 microns. In comparison, the average size of a human hair is 60 microns. PM2.5s are more dangerous since, when inhaled, they may reach deep into the lungs and interfere with gas exchange. The health effects of particulate matter are felt in both the developed and developing world. Chronic exposure to particles contributes to the risk of developing cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, typically asthma, as well as lung cancer. Ozone, O3, absorbs harmful UV rays from the sun in the upper atmosphere and can help prevent the increased risk of skin cancer. However, ground-level ozone causes problems. It does so by a photochemical reaction, which is triggered by the absorption of light. The reactions between nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds lead to the formation of a photochemical smog and ground ozone. You see this more often in the summer, and it can appear as an orange-brown haze over a city. This smog, including the ground ozone, causes breathing problems, can trigger asthma attacks, and lead to lung disease. Next, nitrogen dioxide emissions come from cars and factories where fuels are combusted. You may recall oxygen forms about 21% of our atmosphere, whilst nitrogen forms 79%. In a hot engine, a tiny amount of nitrogen atoms join with oxygen atoms to form mixtures of nitrogen oxides, called NOx. Studies have proven that there is a causal relationship between the symptoms of bronchitis, a respiratory disease being seen in children with asthma as a result of long-term exposure to this pollutant. Finally, there is sulfur dioxide. Can you think how this chemical might be formed? Pause the video and continue when ready. The correct answer is that any sulfur combusted in the presence of oxygen, typically coming from fossil fuels which naturally contain tiny amounts of sulfur, and also the smelting of mineral ores, lead to the formation of sulfur dioxide. In turn, these pollutants affect the respiratory system and cause irritation of the eyes. If you breathe this in, you are more likely to cough or secrete more mucus and will be at a higher risk of developing chronic bronchitis. In summary, all are causing unnecessary deaths, especially where the emissions of these pollutants can be avoided through the use of catalytic converters in cars and by scrubbing of power station gases.
Okay. Now, just in your lifetime that they have added those, all cars must have a catalytic converter. But what happens with that every once in a while is they get clogged up and have to be replaced, like your air filters. So they can cause the car to choke up. It's the breathing device for the car, so it'll cause your car to have issues if you don't have that cleaned. Same thing with factories. That's a new thing that they ask factories to have scrubbers in their smokestacks. Otherwise, they were just sending out all these pollutants into the atmosphere and causing issues. All right. There is a difference between the ozone. So you're working on your worksheet with the layers of the atmosphere. There is a difference between atmospheric ozone and ground level ozone. Atmospheric ozone is one of the layers in the atmosphere, and it is necessary. It's good for us. It prevents it blocks out some of the harmful rays of the sun. Ground level ozone is different. That's a pollutant, and that's the one that's going to cause all the irritations and problems that we experience. All right, we're going to look at this one, and then I'm going to let you look at the rest.
15 to 35 kilometers above Earth's surface, a gas called ozone surrounds the planet. The ozone layer acts as a barrier between Earth and ultraviolet radiation from the sun. However, pollution has caused the ozone layer to thin, exposing life on Earth to dangerous radiation. Earth's atmosphere is made up of 6 layers. The second layer, called the stratosphere, contains the ozone layer. The ozone layer is made up of a highly reactive molecule called ozone, which contains 3 oxygen atoms. Ozone is a trace gas in the atmosphere. There are only about 3 molecules for every 10 million molecules of air. But it does a very important job. The ozone layer acts as Earth's sunscreen, absorbing about 98% of damaging ultraviolet or UV light. But the ozone layer has gotten thinner. Chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, are the primary culprits in ozone layer breakdown. A CFC is a molecule that contains the elements carbon, chlorine, and fluorine. CFCs are mostly found in refrigerants, aerosols, and plastic products. When CFCs are exposed to ultraviolet rays in the atmosphere, they break down into substances that include chlorine. The chlorine reacts with the oxygen atoms in ozone and rips apart the ozone molecule. Areas of damage in the ozone layer are often called ozone holes, but that name is misleading. Ozone layer damage is more like a thin patch, with the thinnest areas near the poles. The ozone layer above the Antarctic, in particular, has been impacted by pollution since the mid-1980s. There, the region's low temperatures speed up the conversion of CFCs to ozone-damaging chlorine. About 90% of CFCs currently in the atmosphere were emitted by industrialized countries in the Northern Hemisphere. In 1989, the Montreal Protocol banned the production of ozone-depleting substances. Since then, the amount of chlorine and other ozone-depleting elements in the atmosphere have been falling. Scientists estimate that chlorine levels will return to their natural state in about 50 years. By then, the Antarctic ozone hole will shrink to smaller than 8 million square miles.
All right, so that's a little dated. All right, so in addition to, I know as you watched it, it showed you that the ozone molecule, which is O3, can break down into O2. And you would say, oh, that's a good thing because it makes more O2. But you have to remember that the O3 molecule is what is protecting the protecting us from the sun. So if we keep breaking it down and just making regular oxygen out of it, then we create those holes and we reduce our protection level by emitting those chlorine. So again, they have banned the use of those type of chemicals. Even with the air conditioning units now, you have to be licensed. Not anybody can change the air conditioning because you have to know how to handle the freon, the chemical that goes in your air conditioner. So you have to be licensed to do that. Otherwise, you run the risk of exposing or emitting dangerous particles into the atmosphere. Alrighty, I'm going to let you look at those and by yourself. I'm going to let you finish looking at, this one is not working. A lot of these review things are not working. But anyway, the worksheet that you have is sufficient for this challenge. So you have 2 things that you need to work on. One was the layers of the atmosphere that I sent you yesterday. And today you have a question of air quality. So they mentioned in the, so we talked about the CAA, which is the Clean Air Act. So what is it? when was it? When I say what is it, briefly describe it. Talk about when they came up with it. It's a little old, so I need a date as to when it was put in place and what does it really do. And we said that the AQI is the air quality index. So you need to, I just told you the first part. Tell me that, but what are the ranges and what do the ranges indicate? So it goes from this number to that number, and which is good, which is bad, which is hazardous. So that's what you need to say for number 2. And then in the video, they mentioned the Montreal Protocol. You may have to look that one up. Okay, because they only briefly mentioned that during the protocol this was instituted. What year was the Montreal Protocol, and what did they dictate during that time? So that's your assignment for today. It's kind of like your ticket out the door for today's lesson. All right. So, and then my comment too about the other worksheet. Some of you, I had one person, I shouldn't say some of you, I had one person to simply just reproduce the first page. Don't do that. Actually show that you took the time to retype the answers. All right, so this one, it tells you the answers, and then they ask you to fill it out on this diagram. So don't just send me the first page all over again. Show that you actually typed in some answers, which means you took the time to um, look at what the layers actually are. All right, as you do that, take note that this is the level that we live in down here. Planes fly slightly above that. All the weather conditions happen in this layer. So those are part of the questions. You want to answer these questions and send it back. Okay. All right, so that's your task today, to make sure this is turned in and the exit questions for today's videos. When I see you next, because next week I think we have a different schedule, but Monday and Tuesday is the same. So I see you on Monday. We're going to do a gizmo that deals with a case study of pollution and the effects on children. So please get this out of the way so that you're not still trying to do this when you have to work on the gizmo. Okay. Katie, I know you were here, but I think you popped out while I was giving instructions. So please just make sure that you get the worksheet completed, and then there are questions for today's lesson that need to be done. All right, Max, wake up. And again, if you have any other outstanding assignments on those, again, several of you have that unnecessary 0 for the study guide question. It was an opinion question. If you get it done today, I'll take the late off of it. So take a minute. If you have a 0 for the study guide question, if you turn it in today, like right now, I will take the late off of it. Tomorrow, it'll be late. It's still late, but I will take the late off of it. So check to see if that's you. If you already had it late on it, I'm going to take it off. How about that? Right. So if you already had a late, I just took it off. If you submitted today, so I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who need to check. Don't make me call you out. Check to see if you did the study guide question for the last test. If you do it right now, I won't mark it late. Mhm. All right, so if you, when you finish turning in those 2 assignments, just make sure that you read over the 2 units on air quality. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do the gizmo next week before we move on to water pollution. But feel free to read ahead if you have the time. Okay. And I will check on those as soon as I do attendance. Can't forget to do that. Janica, please check the message in the chat. You log in and then I see the ceiling fan and there's no activity. Again, last call on getting a no late charge on answering the study guide question. 6 of you need to take me up on that. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, Okay, folks, we got about 2 minutes left to class. Any questions? Any questions? Some of y'all did not take me up on my little freebie offer, so the 0 stands. And if you do turn it in, it's late. All right, that being said, you all have a great rest of your afternoon and enjoy your weekend. See you Monday.